I always thought my life had settled into a quiet, comfortable rhythm. At 35, I believed everything was as it should be: a stable marriage, a warm home nestled in a peaceful suburb, and a thriving career in graphic design. My husband, Ethan, was a good man, reliable, kind, deeply immersed in his career in finance. We'd been married 12 years, solid, predictable, safe. But somewhere along the way, the spark between us had quietly dimmed. And though I noticed it, I chose not to disturb the silence. Our neighborhood was the kind you see in postcards: manicured lawns, soft light on tidy streets, neighbors who waved from porches. Among them were the Hendersons, an elderly couple who radiated a calm, old-fashioned kind of kindness. I remembered they had a son, James, tall, shy, and quiet, who used to mow our lawn for extra cash. I hadn't seen him in years. Then one morning, everything changed. I was out watering the flowers, lost in my usual thoughts, when I heard footsteps and a voice, warm and confident. "Good morning, Mrs. Reed." I turned. It took me a second to recognize him. No longer the awkward teen from next door, but a man taller, stronger, with a calm assurance in his smile. His presence felt different, inviting. We exchanged small talk: college, careers, life. But something lingered as I went back inside. A flicker. A spark I hadn't felt in years. In the weeks that followed, our paths kept crossing. Conversations became routine: the fence, in the garden, walking to the mailbox. We talked about art, books, dreams, long buried beneath the weight of adulthood. He made me laugh without trying. He made me remember parts of myself I thought had quietly disappeared. One afternoon, I was sketching outside when he walked over to borrow gardening tools. "You're always working so hard," he said, peeking at my tablet. "Deadlines don't pause for sunshine," I joked. He sat beside me. "Can I ask you something personal?" I hesitated, then nodded. "Do you ever regret not chasing your dreams?" His question struck a chord I'd long tried to silence. "Sometimes," I admitted. "Life moves fast, and dreams tend to wait quietly." He didn't press, just offered softly, "Maybe it's never too late." Those words lingered. For days, I began to see myself through his eyes, not just as a wife, a professional, or a neighbor, but as a woman still capable of longing, of passion, of change. Meanwhile, Ethan remained wrapped in his world, present but emotionally absent. Our conversations became logistical, hollow. And though I felt guilty at times, I clung to the justification that my connection with James was innocent, platonic, beautiful in its simplicity. One weekend, Ethan left for a work conference. The silence in the house grew louder. That Saturday, while I was painting in the garden, something I hadn't done in years, James stopped by. "You paint?" he asked, genuinely surprised. "I'm rediscovering an old love," I said, half embarrassed. He studied the canvas and smiled. "You're talented. You should show this to the world." His belief in me felt like a gift. That afternoon stretched into evening as we talked and laughed and dreamed. And though we never touched, there was a current between us, gentle but electric. Our friendship deepened. We met at cafes, explored galleries, swapped books. With James, I felt seen, understood, alive. And though we never crossed a physical line, I knew my heart had already stepped across an invisible one. One evening, after a long walk, we sat on my porch under the dim porch light. The air was thick with unspoken truths. James turned to me. "Do you think we're wrong for feeling happy like this?" He asked, his voice filled with sincerity and dexterity, and a hint of worry. I looked down, considering his words. Maybe happiness itself isn't wrong, but our context makes it complicated. We sat quietly, absorbing the truth of those words. A decision loomed before me: continue indulging in this unexpected happiness, or retreat to safety, to familiarities past. Filled with inner turmoil, Ethan began sensing something was different, yet he never confronted me directly. He merely grew quieter, more distant. I knew our marriage was drifting apart, propelled by my newfound friendship, and quiet emotional dependence on James. The breaking point came unexpectedly. A community event brought all our neighbors together, including Ethan, myself, James, and his parents. Ethan noticed how comfortable I seemed around James, observed the ease with which we laughed and shared stories. He approached me later that night, anger simmering beneath his composed exterior. "What's going on between you and James?" Ethan's voice was sharp, accusing nothing inappropriate. I defended quickly. "Heart racing, we're friends, nothing more." Ethan's eyes narrowed and shook his head bitterly. "Friends, I see how you look at each other." His words stung, partly because they echoed my inner fears. Our argument intensified, becoming an overdue confrontation about our marriage's stale condition and emotional gaps we'd allowed to grow. Ethan accused me of emotional betrayal, of having an emotional affair, though Eek knew we hadn't crossed physical boundaries. He was partially right. I was emotionally invested elsewhere. The night ended dead with hurtful words and doors slammed shut, left alone. I faced the stark reality of the mess created by my emotional drift. James, too, became distancing. His involvement had caused turmoil. We avoided each other in then a borehood, exchanging only polite nods. The weeks following the argument were lonely and filled with self-reflection. Ethan and I entered counseling, trying to repair the cracks. No painfully visible. James stayed away, respecting boundaries. Though his absence left a void within me, I slowly began understanding myself better, confronting the dissatisfaction that initially drew me towards James. Ethan and I struggled, yet our conversations became more honest. We were striving to reconnect, genuinely rediscovering each other gradually. Still, James lingered in me. Thoughts what we shared was sincere, not malicious. However, I realized clarity was needed. I decided to speak with him one final time, needing closure to move forward fully. This conversation, I sensed, would determine the path my life would follow. Next, as I approached James' door that day, my heart beat rapidly with nervousness. What would happen next was uncertain but necessary. I knocked gently, feeling the weight of decisions that brought me here, standing uncertainly at the threshold of clarity. This was the crossroads, and I had to face it honestly for everyone's sake, including my own. Standing at James' doorstep, my heartbeat echoed through my chest like a persistent drum, warning me of the emotional journey awaiting behind that door. The neighborhood seemed unusually quiet. If aware of the gravity of this moment, I took a deep breath, striving for calm, and raised my hand again, preparing to knock once more, when suddenly the door opened. James stood before me, his expression a mix of surprise and concern. "Anna, is everything okay?" His gentle voice and sincere eyes momentarily disarmed my resolve. "We need to talk," I managed softly, feeling tremor in my voice. He stepped aside, inviting me in with a hesitant nod. The Hendersons' living room, typically a cozy haven, now felt charged with tension, amplified by the silence between us. James gestured towards a sofa, and Webbeth sat, the awkward distance between us, symbolic of the emotional space we now occupied. After a long pause, James broke the silence. "I'm sorry if I've caused troubles between you and Ethan. That wasn't my intention." "I know it wasn't," I quickly reassured him, "but our friendship, as innocent as it might have been, revealed something much deeper about my marriage and myself." James listened quietly, respectful yet clearly hurt. I could see in his eyes that he too was wrestling with confusion and guilt. "Anna," he finally spoke, his voice careful and low, "our friendship brought joy into my life as well. I felt endorsed, appreciated, like someone finally saw the real me, not just the kid who left home. But I never wanted this to hurt anyone." I know I repeated, feelings sting of tears behind my eyes, but the truth is, it has hurt Ethan and Nowell. 3 of us are caught in something complicated. He sighed deeply, leaning forward, elbows resting on his knees, eyes fixed on the floor. "What do you want to do?" he asked gently. It was the question I'd been avoiding, fearing what things were might mean, but the time had come. "For honesty, I need space, James," I confessed softly, "and need to rebuild my marriage, or at least find clarity." What we had even emotionally blurred boundaries, and Madam questioned everything. He nodded. Slowly, his face etched with sadness, but all understanding. I understand if space helps you heal and find clarity, support that we sat quietly for a moment, absorbing the weight of our mutual decision as I stood to leave. James softly added, "Whatever happens, Anna, just know I genuinely want you to be happy." Those words lingered in my heart as I left, closing the door behind me, on an important chapter of my life, walking back home. I felt simultaneously heavy and lighter, as though facing the truth had finally freed me from confusion at home. Ethan and I cautiously navigated our healing process at Dinkinsling sessions and rebuilding the trust damaged by months of emotional neglect and miscommunication. Our conversations became deeper, more meaningful, addressing issues we'd both long avoided. One evening, Ethan hesitantly broached a sensitive topic as we prepared dinner together. A new habit we'd formed to reconnect. "Have you spoken to James Sagan?" he asked, carefully slicing vegetables, eyes fixed downwards. I replied honestly, feeling his tension through the silence. "We talked, Ethan. It's over," completely his shoulders. Visibly relaxed, and he finally met my gaze. "I appreciate your honesty. Anna, I didn't want to control you. I just want to trust you again." Those words touched me deeply, resonating my commitment to healing our marriage. Ethan was genuinely trying, putting aside his pride to rebuild trust. It reminded me why I'd married him: his quiet strength, his sincerity, his willingness to fight for us. Weeks became months, and slowly a sense of normalcy returned. James honored our decision-making, respectful distance, only greeting me briefly when our paths inevitably crossed. Each encounter grew less painful, replaced by mutual respect and understanding of boundaries. I poured me newfound energy into rekindling my passions, reviving dreams I'd allowed to forget. Painting became my sanctuary, a place to process emotions constructa. Ethan encouraged my art, proudly displaying my canvases around our home. It's a subtle sign of his unwavering support. Eventually, Ethan surprised me on evening after dinner. "There's an art exhibition happening downtown," he began tentatively, handing me a flyer. "I think you should enter some of your paintings." I hesitated, immediately minded of James' encouragement, then felt guilt wash over me. Ethan seemed to sense my internal conflict, gently touching my chin. "Han, I want you to pursue this, Anna, not for me or anyone else, but for you," he assured, earnestly moved by his sincerity. He agreed. I carefully selected paintings for submission, feeling a blend of excitement and vulnerability. The process itself was therapeutic, reaffirming my personal identity beyond my relationships. The exhibition even engraved, buzzing with excitement and nervous energy. Ethan stood by me, proud yet humble, providing the quiet strength I'd come to cherish as guests admired my paintings, offering praise and genuine appreciation. I felt a renewed confidence within myself, one I'd almost forgotten was possible amid the vibrant atmosphere. I unexpectedly saw James across the gallery, attending with his parents. My heart jolted, surprised, yet somehow unsurprised that our paths intersected. Duggan, our eyes met briefly, exchanging a silent acknowledgement, mutual respect and quiet encouragement. Ethan noticed as well, but remained composed, trusting my misreliant commitment. Later, James approached respectfully, extending his hand first to Ethan, a gesture I deeply appreciated. "Congratulations, Anna. Your work is truly beautiful," he said genuinely. "Thank you, James," I responded, warmly yet appropriately distant. "It means a lot." He nodded politely, excusing himself restfully. Leaving Ethan and me alone in quiet reflection, Ethan squeezed my hand gently, reaffirming his trust silently. The exhibition marked a turning point, solidifying a new path, a blend of self-discovery and renewed marital commitment. Ethan and left that night stronger, clearer about our future. You're deeper than before. In the weeks that followed, Ethan and I established healthier habits, regular date nights, honest conversations, and shared hobbies. The emotional distance between us gradually closed, replaced by deeper connection, mutual respect, and trust. James soon returned to his life in another City pursuing his career dreams, his departure felt like closure for us all, a necessary step toward genuine healing. As Munn's Pasador neighborhood returned to its comforting routine, Ethan and I openly shared our journey with close friends, understanding the importance of communication and vulnerability. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but it was real, strengthened by honesty, forgiveness, and growth. Reflecting on the complicated journey I'd navigated, I recognized the powerful lessons I'd learned, acknowledging one's feelings honestly, respecting boundaries, and the undeniable strength of true commitment. James had inadvertently triggered my self-discovery, but Ethan had patiently stood by me, guiding us both through the storm. I had walked through confusion, faced painful truths, and emerged stronger, wiser. Ethan and I now saw clearly what we risked losing, understanding that nurturing a marriage required intentional, continuous effort. Quietly, I remained grateful to James, not because he disrupted my life, but because he unknowingly opened my eyes to what I truly valued. It was a challenging chapter, but also transformative, standing firmly in my renewed marriage. I felt hopeful, stronger, deeply appreciative of the difficult yet illuminating journey that brought me here. I'd found clarity, embraced growth, and reclaimed happiness through honesty and courage. My story was far from over yet. Now I faced the future confidently, certain I'd discovered a profound truth about myself and love life after the storm slowly found a soothing calm, a peaceful rhythm I had yearned for deeply. Ethan and I had learned valuable lessons about trust, communication, and authenticity, lessons that redefined the foundation of our marriage. Together, we grew stronger, understanding each other's hearts more clearly and deeply than ever before. Our newfound closeness didn't erase the past, but rather transformed it into a stepping stone toward a richer future. Every day felt like an opportunity to cherish each other, to make thoughtful gestures, and share simple joys. We took pleasure in ordinary moments, like cooking meals together, strolling through the neighborhood hand in hand, or simply relaxing together in our garden surrounded by blooming flowers. Months after James had left, Ethan and I stood quietly in the front yard one pleasant evening, tending to our garden, when the Hendersons approached us warmly. "Anna." Ethan, Mrs. Henderson began gently, her smile sincere yet slightly hesitant. "We wanted to thank you for supporting James during his time here. It meant a lot to him and to us." Her words surprised me, yet also deeply touched my heart. Ethan glanced at me softly, silently, encouraging me to respond honestly. "James was a true friend," I replied genuinely. "He helped me rediscover my passion for art. Please tell him we wish him all the happiness and success he deserves." Mrs. Henderson's eyes, soft and guarded, evident in her gentle smile. "We will. He often speaks of you with respect and admiration." As they walked away, Ethan placed a comforting hand on my shoulder, whispering softly, "I'm proud of you, Anna." His words warmed my heart, reminding me again why I'd chosen to build our life together. Our marriage wasn't flawless, but it was now rooted in honesty, acceptance, and genuine affection. The coming months brought further transformations. My art gradually became recognized in our community, giving me a renewed sense of purpose and identity beyond the boundaries of home and marriage. Ethan celebrated each milestone with genuine enthusiasm. Always the first, I encouraged my endeavors. One sunny afternoon, I received an unexpected call from a local gallery owner, Anna. The voice began warmly. "We'd love to feature a solo exhibition of your work. Your style resonates deeply with our visitors." My heart raced with excitement and pride. I glanced toward Ethan, who listened intently, his eyes lighting up with genuine joy for me. "I'd be honored," I responded eagerly. The weeks leading up to the exhibition became a whirlwind. Excitement, nervous energy, and creativity. Ethan stood by me consistently, its quiet strength becoming my anchor through the frenzy of preparations. On opening night, friends, family, and art enthusiasts gathered, buzzing with anticipation. Me paintings filled the gallery walls, each capturing emotions, struggles, hopes, and the beautiful complexity of life. Standing there, feeling the warmth and appreciation around me, I realized fully the powerful journey I'd traversed. As I spoke with visitors explaining my inspirations, I caught sight of a familiar face in the crowd. James had quietly entered, clearly making an effort to remain inconspicuous. My heart fluttered briefly with surprise, but Ethan gently squeezed my hand, conveying silent trust and understanding. Eventually, James approached respectfully, offering a warm smile. "Anna, your work is incredible." Hesed sincerely extending his hand in genuine congratulations. "Thank you, James." I responded warmly, yet composed. "It's good to see you thriving." "I owe you my thanks," James continued gently. "Our friendship helped me see clearly what I wanted. For myself, I'm grateful we could both find happiness in our own ways." Our brief conversation was filled with maturity and respect. James soon left quietly, leaving behind a sense of closure and genuine goodwill. Later, Ethan and I stood outside the gallery, savoring the crisp night air. He wrapped his arm gently around my shoulders, pulling me close. "I'm proud of us," he murmured softly. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" "Yes, truly have," I replied, feeling peace settle deeply into my heart. Tim continued to move forward gently, marked by love, understanding, and quiet moments that made life meaningful. Ethan and I developed stronger bonds, rediscovering joy and simplicity in nurturing the connection. We had almost lost one quiet evening as we sat on our porch sipping tea. Ethan softly broached a heartfelt topic. "Anna, this experience taught me how quickly we can lose sight of what truly matters," he began. "I want us always to remain open, honest, and committed. Not just when things are easy, but especially when they're hard." I smiled warmly, deeply appreciating its vulnerability and sincerity. "I promise, Ethan, I never want to lose what we've built together." From that day forward, we both actively nurtured our relationship, continually cultivating trust, affection, and mutual respect. Small gestures of love and kindness became our daily habits, strengthening our connection and bringing genuine joy to our marriage. Eventually, I decided to volunteer as a mentor for aspiring artists in our community. My experiences had taught me the importance of encouraging others to pursue their passions and dreams, guiding them through their own journeys of self-discovery. Ethan supported this wholeheartedly, often joining me at community events, proud and happy to share in this meaningful chapter of my life together. We became active in neighborhood projects, fostering friendships and creating a positive impact in our community. Life felt genuinely fulfilling, balanced, and rich in purpose through struggles and moments of uncertainty. I'd found strength and clarity, transforming pain and confusion, a powerful growth and wisdom. Reflecting on everything **. Thanks for listening.